Good morning, everyone. This is Chrisi from Solstice ATR and Vulcan Capital Research. What I want to do is go over some of the indicators after Thanksgiving and this coming week, what the outlook is for the market. Um, this week we had a small retracement in the market, which I would consider the plunge protection team, which is the Federal Reserve Board, have been buying every dip, and they say they are not doing any easing, which makes me question the interest rates in the market. We have on Tuesday the ECB in as well as the Eurozone, as well as the UK. Keep an eye on what they're going to do with their interest rates. Number three is the tariff tax between US and United States. Is that deal going to be done or not done? There's a little bit of electricity there. And number four is that North Korea, they said they will be sending a Christmas to the United States, which I don't think it's very funny at all. Let's look at breaking down each instrument, which is the S&P 500, and we'll look at the Nasdaq, the Dow, and the Russell, and some equities in between was gold and CL, oil. This is the weekly chart on the E-mini S&P 500. We had 8 weeks continuation high, and this week we fell down. We wiped out 3 VPOCs at the bottom, but we still have, from the 12 we had, we took out 3 of them, so there's still 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 of them still below us, which have never been revisited. The 29, I should say, 29, 67, 75 is a virgin control block and a very major one that I would be worried about. We have taken a couple of them out. Let's take a look at them one by one. Let's take a look at the daily. Okay, this is the daily. These are basically the gaps I have on the daily charts. I have the overnight on. And this is why I'm looking at this area here, because this area is the puck that we're supposed to keep an eye on. We still have this area here, this area. We retested this channel. We had a smaller cone here. And what I did, I readjusted my channels to the upper and lower. We have this cone here. I moved it down to this prior low from these 2 points, and I grabbed this one from here to this point and this point here, and I connected them. So we are still in an uptrend. If there's going to be continuation, we want to make sure that we don't fall below the 31.23 area or the 39.38 area, because this is the last week's push up. We wiped it out in 2 days and came back up. This was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Thursday was consolidation around, the 31.10 area to the 31.20 area, and we looked up in the overnight and continued higher with no reset on Friday. We have still a poor high up here at the 31.58 area and the 31.55, so keep an eye if we're going to continue higher to the upper channels and keep going. If not, we do have these virgin control points that we have to be worried about, and I do have this green box. This green box, that means when the advanced decline line, which is a simple instrument that gives me the gauge on the momentum when we came back to reset that day, the crossings of the DMI plus took us higher. You're going to ask me, what is a DMI? This is just a momentum indicator similar to an RSI or stochastic momentum. When the momentum is picking up to the upside, the ADX will pick up the DMI plus and take us higher. This is why we had a reset and push higher from here. Same thing here, your DMIs are crossing back to the positive side to continue higher. If we do not clear those channels or we fall back, we should not fall back very steep. If we fall through and come back into this channel, there's nothing to support us still down here. So make sure you understand that in order to continue and keep the Christmas rally going up, we have to come to a resolution to keep the Christmas party going. If not, we head lower. Let's take a look at the Nasdaq. The NQ is in the same situation pattern as you have this, we had this, major cone, and we fell through it sharply, and I connected those dots down here. If we notice, we haven't got as close as the S&P did. If this is going to continue, we do not want to fall all the way back to here where the breakout was from this channel. So if we have to come in a little steeper, if we come back a little bit in and continue high, that would form a cup and handle, or we continue higher. That's the Nasdaq. Let's take a look at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. Okay, and this is the Dow Jones Industrial. It's still in the upper and lower channels. We have the prior high from before. We had this one a little bit higher. We came down and continued higher, which is, catching up. Do we fix this high, or do we reset halfway and come back up? Let's take a look at the Russell. The Russell is the canary in the coal mine. And this is what I'd like about the Russell to show you guys that I really like about it, because it seems to be continuing higher. And what I'm going to do is go to the weekly chart, and we'll break it down a little bit more in detail so you can see this. This was the prior highs where we were trying to get above. We had this oval here, and I said keep an eye on this one that took us a little bit lower. If you look at this candle that was 1642.50, we got to 1641, I believe, 40.30, 40.3. In order to continue higher, we have to take that engulfing candle, those two that took us down. Now we are going a little higher. We were in this range before, in this kind of area from the 1440 to the 40, let's say 1600. If we take this, we create a box here, and we measure the distance from here to here, and we take the same distance from here to here, our target should be up here if the Russell is going to give us the Christmas rally and continue high. And what I did, I put a channel between these two areas. If we break up, first one is here, the second target is basically that first oval down here in that consolidation. When we looked up, we went high, came back down, and we fell from here. This should be the area that we should be looking at in this area here. What we can do, duplicate this oval, duplicate, we're going to grab it, move it a little bit higher to this area, and that's where we're going to leave it there if it's going to continue higher. And this one, we're going to duplicate it one more time, and we're going to keep an eye on the back side of the breakout of this channel here when we went back up. Okay, this is the channel that we went back down, and these two I will remove them, remove join, so that way you know what I'm looking for, and we'll remove this one out of here. So we're going to keep an eye on these two areas in the Russell. And if we look at it one more time on the daily, at least you can see that what I'm talking about, it's just continuation to the upside. And that's what I'd like to see in the Russell. If I zoom down a little bit, this is where we're looking for that area up here. Let's now take a look at GC, the gold. Gold, I had, we had this flag where we're thinking it's going to go up here if it broke this channel. Unfortunately, gold has been in a range bound, zigzagging back and forth in a down channel, has not been able to continue higher. And I would like to see this area and this area visited, the backside of this channel, in this area here between the 200 SMA and the prior consolidation before we went higher, in order to continue higher, because I do like gold. If the market going to turn south, gold I think has a potential to go higher. We may not see this backside here, the 42 area, 1410, 1415, and eventually, the 1396, 1400. I'd like to accumulate gold around here. But if the gold cannot stay in this symmetrical triangle and breaks down here, the first target would be this down here, which is this oval. If it breaks up, it would be this first oval here. What we're going to do, remove the, duplicate it, move it to the right, and let's just go here. We'll put it in this area, that way we can see the upper channels. Move this one, remove that oval out of here. So if the target, if this, in that symmetrical triangle, you can see it. I mean, we're wedging down, but there's a channel between this one and this one. I have an, a symmetrical triangle. If this is going to fall through this channel, it's the backside of this area where the oval is. First of all, we look for a bounce. If this holds and goes back up, because remember, I have a channel up here, channel down here. This is a little bit off. I should make it a little bit more centered. We can remove it and redo it later, remove drawing. So we know that we have a center in this area. If I could draw it like this, so you guys can see it. This is the center of these two channels, and what I'll do, I'll just leave it like that and double and make it small so you guys know where the channels are on edit property. And I like it to make it baby blue so you know this is the inside of the channel. The wider ranges I usually leave them orange, and the middle ones are usually yellow and baby blue cayenne. So keep an eye on this area. If this holds and U-turns back into this, symmetrical triangle back to the upside. If we fall through this channel here, look for the backside of the other oval down the bottom. Let's just put it on auto. It is on auto, and we just zoom it back down. So this is the first area of the backside of these two channels. So what I'd like to see, if there's fear in the market and the gauges do change, I'd like to see the reversal back, breaking this channel, breaking this upper channel, because we have these two in here in an uptrend, and this is in a downtrend. So which is more dominant is the wider one. But the smaller one, if we break up, we continue to here and eventually up here. So this is the reason why I'm looking at gold that way. Let's take a look at CL. That's the oil. I'd like to see CL as well to the upside. That's the crude oil. We've been range bound in oil, for the last, 3-4 months in this area. Every time we looked at the 60-40 area, we couldn't clear it, and we reset. This was the Saudi, Iran crisis when they hit their oil wells. We looked up, they saw, everything's going higher. We'll break through the 63.71. Unfortunately, we couldn't. We fell back down. We traced 100% of this consolidation, which we had, in here where the breakout was. One, we looked up, came back down, consolidated 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we grinded back up. I'm thinking if oil can clear 59.63, I think the first target would be 61.50 to 62.50, and eventually the backside of the 62.52, and eventually where we fell from down here. I'd like to see this gap fill, because if I think this distance from here to here, if I create a box, we double it to the upside, your target should be up here. If we take this box and we take it and it falls through the 54.75, this is very critical area for me. I'd like to keep the support at 54.75. If we're not wrong, this is going to continue higher. I like 54.75 as a major support. We broke through this candle here. We looked above 57.36. You can see it's bullish, 57.50. So keep an eye on this on the daily chart. We don't lose the 57.50. I think the continuation is to the upside. And what I did two channels here, and I kept a wider one, which is an open cone here from these two here. We can grab one even from here to this one here, and you can see that the cone is a little bit more narrower than this one. We can take this one out, remove drawing. So we have a narrower cone. We have an up channel in the computer. This channel between this control point, this control point, we looked on Friday above it. We fell underneath it. I would like to see consolidation, above the 58.50 area and continue up. If it gets a little relief and catches up steam, and you have these lines here. What I'd like to do is show you on an hourly. I know I'm using a 78-minute, but this is kind of shows it very clearly. Oil has the ability to, this is the two wider channels. I have a smoother channel in here. This is the overnight gray color, the daily activities, from the 6 till the 11:30 market opens. We consolidated in this area. This is a major range. The 57.35 is going to be major support in 50 cents in order to continue higher. I do not want to see losing 58.67. Let's call it 58.35 to 50 cents. If it holds in this area, we continue higher. If it falls through, look for the backside of here. We do not want to lose the 56.50 area, because this was the prior consolidation. You can see I had an oval here. When we fell down, we looked below it and continued back up. So I'd like to see the continuation in oil to the upside. Let's take a look at some of the other instruments quickly, and I'll go back to oil. Go back to ES and finish up with AAPL. And we're going to go to the daily. It's continuing higher. Keep an eye, it got an upgrade. Keep an eye on the 268 area, 268.20. Does not lose this area. This will be continuing higher because of the upgrade. Amazon. I'm doing a little faster time frame on Amazon. Amazon seemed to looked above, came back down and fell through. Friday was consolidation. If Amazon wants to continue higher for the Christmas holidays and the shopping and and the packaging, and whether it's FedEx, UPS, they doing their own shipping, the post office, and it does hold the 1747, it will be continuation back to the upside to this area and eventually double the distance back up here. If it cannot, it falls back down. Remember, we have news coming out this coming week. Keep an eye on it. That's Amazon. Let's take a look at Facebook, FB. FB seems to be a rounded bottom. It seems to trying to clear the 200 area. If it clears the 200 and 160, look for the 203 a 50 in continuation higher because it was up in this cone. We fell down on the last two, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, uh, jumped back up. Wednesday, Thursday consolidated sideways, and Friday gapped up a little bit above and stayed above the Tuesday's action. And I think if it can clear this area, it can go higher. Let's take a look at Google. Google, I do really like it. This was the prior, channels I had on it. We can look at it on a daily. It's basically broke above the 1340 area. This is a very critical area, 1338. As long as Google cannot lose the 1323, this can be continuation higher. If we come back, reset, we create a, rounded bottom. This is the cup of it and continue higher. That would be great. Let's take a look at Netflix and Nflx. I'm using the hourly chart just that way we can, look at the patterns on it. The overnights are in it. I do have a cone. We have a mid-range of this cone. We are coming in a rounded bottom. If Netflix wants, to, get prescribers, they do have enough marketing. They do very well. The 305 area, 304 area is very critical that we do not lose the 305 area in order to continue back to halfway of this channel up here because you got a cone, open cone to the upside. If this can create a cup, even if it comes back to the 305, 304 area, 302, holds and U-turns and continues higher, that would be great. And if it breaks up, look for the upside at 316, 324 eventually in Netflix. Let's take a look at Tesla. Tesla seems to be, after the 362, which I called lately, and I said the 344, 340 area would be very critical in Tesla. It fell below it. In order to continue higher, we have to clear the 340 area, 344 in order to continue back to the 362 and eventually 368. If it cannot hold this area, keep an eye on the 325. From 325 to the 318, 305 area would be another reset on Tesla. Let's take a look at Wind Resort, see if there's anything in it. Wind Resort seems to be getting a rounded, bottom. Keep an eye if it creates a cup and handle and breaks the 124 back to the upside of the symmetrical triangle, which it's in. I'll show you on the daily so you guys can see it. This is the symmetrical triangle. If, when can do it, look for the upside of this continuation to here, then eventually up here. If it falls back through this channel, look for the backside of this channel, the 105 area. I think because it did couple of bottoms, 1, 2, 3, 4 area, went up, still looking. This one fell on, you remember, you had the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Friday's trying to break this channel. If we break up, we can continue to this upside of the 125 area of the prior channel, eventually get to the 130 and break where that we fell from. We can come back to this up here because you can take this distance here and measure it to the upside because it's got a double bottom here. You see it? Let's go back to the ES. And what I'd like to do is make sure you understand that I am still bullish on the overall market unless things do change because of technically what's going on in the global market. I'd like to see a small reset if there is possibility and continue higher. If it doesn't and continue higher, I would like to see the Christmas rally a little bit higher up in this area and eventually get to the upside of this area here for the Christmas holidays, okay? So I'm not bearish unless we lose this channel, then we fill the gaps here, and the prominent POC is 29, 69 area, 67.75. Be careful of the gaps that we have in the ES. So what I'm going to do is go from a daily, go to the 78 minute to show you what I'm looking at. Once again, this is one of the gaps we filled. This wiped out a couple of pucks. We wiped out 3 pucks here. We haven't fixed the stop here in the 31.58 area. We still, we came back to the 51 area and we just kind of slightly fell down. Keep an eye on 31.45 and 31.38, area 39. If we fall through it, we come back to this side of this channel. Because you do have a sharper one here. I'll show you how it looks like. We can connect it. We can make it yellowish. That way you guys, we'll make it a little bit orange. We'll make this one, we'll edit it. Instead of, yellow and blue, I'm going to make it purple, okay? So we're going to make it purple. We're going to keep it solid, okay? So that way everybody can pay attention to this channel to continue. And if we break that white one, we break the 31.55, 31.58, I think continuation to the upside. So this is what I'm thinking. If we can create a head and shoulder in this area, let's look at it one more time. The pattern would be a rounded bottom, create a shoulder here and continue, or continue higher and break out. That would be fine as well. So I hope this was helpful. Check us out at Solstice ATR and Balkan Capital Research, and look forward to seeing you next week in our chat room. Take care.